Hey guys, I'm reviewing The Space Between Us. You know that because you clicked on a video with Space Between Us review. This isn't a review of the next Star Wars movie, no, it's a review of The Space Between Us and stuff. I'm very tired. So, this movie is about a baby being born on another planet. The woman is pregnant and either doesn't know / doesn't tell anyone, and the infant is born on another planet. She dies during childbirth, and they have to deal with the ethical situation of raising a child who's going to get used to a completely different environment than that of Earth, and sort of what would happen to him medically speaking and everything. Now, I think I have a few solutions in my head for what they could have done, but I digress. So, the film stars Asa Butterfield, who you might know from pretty well-received movies as Boy in the Striped Pajamas and Ender's Game, the star of both those movies, and he brings some decent acting chops here. And he's actually pretty funny in this movie. If you've ever seen the movie Sherlock, if you've ever seen the show Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch, imagine Benedict Cumberbatch as a 19-year-old kid who doesn't know where the hell he is, and that's pretty much his character. His sort of straight-faced awkwardness and one particular line in the movie about the death of his mother, he was a treat to watch. That was one of the strong points of this, was the main character. He was really entertaining and upbeat. And this film overall had a pretty decent heart to it, I would say. So yeah, what's the conflict? Well, the kid, he convinces them to take him to Earth, and once he gets to Earth, he escapes and runs off to find a girl he had been talking to by the name of Tulsa, played by Britt Robertson. And they run off together to try to look for his real father. This film had, now this film does have a decent heart to it, like I said, but in the writing department, there was a lot there that, concerned me a little bit. Number one, the character is being pursued throughout the movie, and yet they are always able to, find him, even though he goes to these ridiculous lengths to get away, but always still be right on him, at complete random too. And the girl helps him despite the fact that she knows nothing about his situation. He acts like this weirdo, and he follows her to her house, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from a different planet." She's like, "Yeah, sure," and then the police show up looking for him, and she still decides to help him. I mean, for all she knows, this dude could have been a sociopath that stabbed his last internet girlfriend to death. But, I digress. And I'm not sure about the scientifics. I'm not sure about the science behind a person being born on another planet. So I can't really fault the movie on that as I walked in. I could look it up in hindsight and everything, but I'm lazy, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm just gonna leave that there's a pass, although a highly speculated upon pass, as in, I do not think that is how it works. How do I feel about this movie as a whole, though? It's fine. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just fine. It's nothing I'd really call spectacular by any means. It's definitely one of the least sci-fi movies I've seen, as it takes place in the not too distant future, and people have realistic, all things considered, futuristic devices. But you don't really see a whole lot of them. A lot of the time they go to areas where people don't have said devices, but, moving past that and moving past some of the story-paced flaws and everything, which I'll get into in the spoiler section so you can know what I'm talking about. But there are flaws that heavily hold this film back. Now, I'm sure it's based off of the motivation of the characters and to how some of these things came about, but still, yeah, I'd give this one fine, yeah, I'll give this one a light recommendation, because it's not bad, it's just fine. You know, it's sort of on the border with me. I'd say, like, I felt this way about Office Christmas Party, although I'd argue this is better than Office Christmas Party. It's just, there's not a whole lot to it. Like, films for me, they all have their unique strengths, and they all have their weaknesses. Now, it depends on how much stronger the strengths are to outweigh the weaknesses that make a good movie for me. And in this one, it struggles with that. It struggles with that quite a bit. But it had a decent heart to it. Asa Butterfield plays an entertaining main character. The sci-fi in this is realistic for what would be in the future. And yeah, that's about it. I guess I'll get into the spoiler section now so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so Gary Oldman in the movie sort of plays the director of this project of having people being stationed on Mars, and overall one of the main people who was all for keeping him on the planet. Now, the plot twist in this, it's revealed that he is the kid's real father. He is the real father of Gardner Elliott, the main character. Now, when he first meets him, why he never brings this up, or in the over 18 years he spent on Mars, why he never maybe let it slip, like, hey, you know, I'm kinda your dad. He never brings that up until, like, he almost commits suicide on the beach before he finally says, oh yeah, I'm your real dad. It's like, you could have said that at any other point and none of this would have happened. Also, yeah, I don't know why Tulsa helps him out, because she's never really given any clear proof of this. Like, maybe if she overheard someone's conversation about him being born on Mars, then she'd have a reason to help him. But for all she knows, he's just some awkward maniac that's being followed by the police. And also, there are several points in the movie where they just sort of show up and find him. At one point, like, he and the girl take off in a plane and fly off. And they're still able to locate them. And at the end, where he finds out that the person whose house they go to is actually the brother of his mother, his uncle. And he's just so distraught, he throws himself into the water to die on Earth, because that's what he wants, instead of dying on the space station or anything. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, no introduction, Gary Oldman and the crew show up, and they're like, oh no, don't do it. They didn't actually talk like that, though. You know, it's just, how do they find him? Why are the characters helping them? Why didn't the characters do the stuff in the beginning? Why didn't they maybe debate about bringing him back to Earth before, like, you know, he was almost becoming an adult? Like, yeah, he's almost an adult by the time he actually goes back to Earth. And it's like, you could have brought him back at any other time and maybe helped him develop there instead of, you know, on Mars. I'm sure you have the technology to manage that if you'd had the capability of having a person live on another planet for their entire life. Yeah, it's a light recommendation for me, but I really like the main character, and the film had a decent heart to it that didn't feel overly schmaltzy. It was just fine. If I were to give this a letter grade, I'd give it maybe, I don't know, a C+. But, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great. It's somewhere in between. And usually for somewhere in between, if I feel there's enough to it, that's warranting a recommendation from me. So check it out if you're interested. and I will see you all next time.